Hey everybody, what's up? Just want to let everybody know that I've sent out my summary and analysis of the EIA Weekly Petroleum Report that was released just a little while ago. That's something I do every single Wednesday when that report is released. And as I have said many times here, that is a very extensive report. There is a tremendous amount of information contained in there. You have to know how to synthesize all that information. There's information on inventories of crude oil and products. Obviously, that is the headline that's released. And all of you zombies and all of you mousy boys, you look at one thing. Maybe you look at the crude oil inventory change. Maybe if you think you're really smart, you look at the gasoline inventory change and you plunge into the market based on that. That is, that's just easy pickings for myself and my group. We just take your money every single time because that is a very, very unsophisticated and just ignorant way of, if you call that trading, that's just gambling. That's just rolling the dice. You don't know what you're doing. That is a really deep, in-depth report with a lot of information in there. You have information on inventories, which is supply. You have an inventory. You have information on production. You have information on demand. You have information on imports. You have information on exports. How do you know what to do with that information? You don't. Everybody who's jumping on the change in inventories they're just handing out their money. Basically, they're guessing and they think they're smart. And by the way, I don't mean to pick on all you little mousy boys who come to this channel and chime off. Okay, you're in the same group as these hedge fund operators who absolutely don't know what the heck they're doing. That's why hedge funds never beat the market averages. By the way, if these hedge fund guys have any sort of genius at all, if you want to call it that, their genius is in getting people to invest with them, because that's how they become wealthy. I mean, that 2% management fee, whether they win or lose, if you're running $1 billion, that's $20 million a year. I mean, it makes you pretty rich. And they can't beat even a risk-free rate of return. And they look at that. They do the same thing you mousy boys and you zombies do. They look at the change in inventories on crude, or maybe they look at both crude and gasoline and they think they're smart and they'll plunge into the market. That's just crapshoot. That's just rolling the dice. I mean, be fair to yourself. I've always said, honesty is the best policy. Trading is the true expression of oneself. So the best thing you can do for yourself is to just embrace the fact that you don't know what you're doing and you guess. And when you guess wrong, you take losses, and then you convince yourself, you rationalize that the losses are a great, wonderful, fantastic, marvelous thing to do. You need to lose, right? In your head, you need to lose. I got to lose. That's going to make me a winner. I got to lose. I got to lose. That's going to make me a winner. I mean, think about that. Think about that for a second. Now, I talked about my Mexican peso position that I had on, which was well over a year I had that position on, probably close to a year and a half. I got out with a profit. I had people on here say, well, Mike, how long do we have to wait? How long do we have to wait? Now, that is an expression of neediness. That is an expression of ego. You can't win this game with ego. You might think that great traders have big egos, like I know what I'm... No, it's all about letting the ego go. The more ego you have, the more needy you are, the less capable you are of waiting. When you release the ego and you release the neediness that is attached to that ego, you know that it is no problem. It becomes no problem to wait. So we pay with time. We don't lose. We never lose. We don't have losses. Okay, we pay with time, and because my highest level students and followers who have really embraced the mental game principles that I talk about, who understand the concept of letting go of the ego and letting go of neediness, that's when the profits really start to flow, and they start to flow consistently, one after another. It's when you have a high opinion of yourself, when you have a tremendous amount of ego, when you have all that neediness, you consider yourself too important to wait. So what do you think about the irrationality of this, or the irony of this, I should say? You consider yourself too important to wait, so you lose instead, and then you rationalize that in your head as a great thing to do, as the proper strategy to do. Folks, I've said it a million times, this game is so easy. This game is so easy. But it's a concept, it's a prospect of mastering yourself. All these things, these are things that apply to life in general. It's not just in trading. How many times a day do I get emails from people saying, Mike, your program, your mental game tips, your psychology has helped me not just in trading. I've turned my trading around. I was a loser constantly. Why? Because you're taught to take losses. But then they go on to say, it has helped me in every aspect of my life. It has improved my life. Think about that. You got to let go of the ego. You got to let go of neediness. When you do that, there's no problem in waiting. And you don't, when somebody, at that point, when you understand that, when you've mastered that, when you've entered into that realm, that higher level of existence, of operating, right? You're on a Zen level. And when people say that to you, it's almost like, basically, you're just like flabbergasted at the question. Like, you just look at that person like, seriously? Seriously? How long do we have to wait? I used to equate that, I used to talk about that in the context of children. When you're a kid, probably you're taking a trip with your parents somewhere, a road trip, and you're in the back seat, your dad's driving, your mom's up there in the front seat, and you're back there maybe with your sister or your brother. And you say, when are we going to get there? When are we going to get there? And your father's like, kids, be quiet. We get there when we get there. He's right. He was right. But you still didn't learn. Most of you still didn't learn that. Like, I want it now. I want it now. Oh, I'm not going to get it now? Okay, I'm going to lose. And that's going to be fantastic. I can't wait to lose. And then I'll get in it next time. And I'll lose again. See, that's the presumption, or that's the assumption you make, that you take the small loss, you think you're being prudent, but embedded in that belief, that false belief, is somehow that the next thing you do is going to be a profit, so it'll wipe out a loss. You don't know that. You don't know that, as much as you don't know about predicting the future. Folks, it's all about mastery of oneself, I told you. Anyway, if you want the report, because this was a very, very, look, it's on my screen behind me. This is a very, very interesting report. There are some really, really important nuances in this report that you have to understand. Now, I called the top in crude. What happens next? You need to know what happens next. Is it going to continue to go down? Should you short it here? By the way, did you see the story about Trump asking the Saudis to pump 1 million barrels a day extra? That was quietly released last week. It's all over the news now. What do you do now? Saudis are raising production. I called it weeks ago when I said China said they're balking on any more imports at that price level. China's the price setter, just like Walmart is the price setter to its suppliers, okay? A big consumer can also be a price setter. What do you do now? Saudis are going to up production 1 million barrels a day. I just sent out an email telling my people what to do. Okay, we win every single time. Go to my website, pitbulleconomics.com, and sign up for a free 30-day free trial, and you will get the report. Bye-bye.